thought Thatcher was a woman of conviction. I didn't support Thatcher. I thought she was a wicked woman. Wicked woman. But Thatcher was straightforward. She never mixed her words.
No bullshit.
No bullshit. The Iranian embassy siege. We have some Iranians storm the Iranian embassy. Stick it up. They say, we want A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Thatcher says, I'm sorry, we don't negotiate with terrorists. Goodbye. Have a fucking fun. Ain't got shit to say. You knew where you stood with Thatcher. Thatcher said, I don't like black people. You immigrants are taking over our country. You need to fuck off back to your own country. Thatcher was straightforward. When America invaded Grenada, when Ronald Reagan under America invaded Grenada, Margaret Thatcher condemned him, and they were buddies. Thatcher said, wow, how do you think the rest of the colonies are going to view Britain if we stand by and say nothing? Thatcher was a woman of conviction. A bitch. A wicked woman. But you knew where you stood. With Obama, you haven't got a fucking clue where you're at. Look at Barack Obama. Look at the promises that Barack Obama made. And he says it, he looks so fucking squeaky clean, don't he? He looks so squeaky clean. Barack Obama said on the run-up to the elections, he said, when I get to power, I'm going to close Guantanamo Bay.
There's only one way.
He didn't just say he's going to close Guantanamo Bay. He gave you a date that you could put in your fucking diaries. He said January 2010. By January 2010, I'm going to close Guantanamo Bay.
It's still open now.
That was Obama.
But Jesus
Obama said,
I'm telling you,
I'm going to bring home the troops from Iraq. There are still thousands of American private security contractors in Iraq today. Oh, advisors, consultants, just like they had in Vietnam, consultants. He said, we're going to sedate the war in Afghanistan. What did Obama do? Within the first month of coming to office, Obama sent 30,000 more troops to Afghanistan. There were more troops in Afghanistan under Barack Obama than there ever was under Bush. Furthermore, the war has escalated into Pakistan. How many drone attacks have Obama signed off for Pakistan? How many innocent civilians have been butchered and murdered in Somalia? How many innocent civilians have been bombed in Yemen? That is the Obama that we have in office. They said change we can believe in. Yes, we can. And you motherfuckers believed it.
Obama's a snake.
What bullshit! It's nonsense! What Obama has shown the world, if you weren't watching, is that it doesn't matter who is in the White House, whether it's black or white, male or female, human or fucking extraterrestrial. Business as usual. America and the Western world represent the elites. The commercial, corporate, economic demands of the elite.
7 years, and I've been trying to.
Who are we?
And stop.
Now, hands up if you are Muslim. Muslims, right. What is your name? Mohammed. What's your name?
And you come
Mohammed?
here to try and stop
Terrorist.
me when I live in my own ground.
Azza?
I tell you,
Terrorist.
I love Jesus.
You, sir?
Jesus is brilliant.
Huh?
I'm just
Mohammed.
this because you're
Or as they say, Ahmed. Terrorist.
the man over there. There he is.
Because the Western propaganda machine is so powerful now that they label all Muslims terrorists.
Jesus Christ.
Are you a terrorist? No, but with a name like Muhammad,
Again from the dead.
sounds like it.
And you are lying.
With a name like Aziz, sounds like
Quran lies.
it. With a name like
But Jesus never
sounds
lied.
like it. If they said a terrorist attack was committed yesterday by John Smith, you think, oh, strange. Who is this person? What did he do? Are they sure they've got the right person? Yes. If they say a terrorist attack was committed by Mark Thompson. Who? Mark Thompson? Who is that? What's happened there? But when they tell you a bomb was planted by Muhammad Ahmed Aziz Allah, you think, these Muslims are at it again. We no longer question the media. We no longer question or challenge.
The judgment of God.
We are dealing with Western imperialism, which is using propaganda. So now they target all Muslims. All Muslims are responsible. That's why I said earlier, you Muslims are not good at terrorism. Give it up. Find something else. Go on the internet. Get into spam. Or get into the Nigerian 419 frauds. Get into something. But you're not good at terrorism. The white man, I said, is good at terrorism. Let me show you how the white man do it. The Irish. Oppressed for over 800 years, and I love the Irish. Love the IRA, International Rastafarian Organization. The Irish oppressed for 800 years. They said, we've had enough. We've had enough. Fucking English. You're fucking cunts. Cunts. You're fucking cunts. The Irish, they thought about terrorism. Not like you Muslims. You Muslims say, let's do something. And you're so stupid. You're so stupid at terrorism. You talk on your mobile phones. You call Ahmed, I think we should do something about this. Not realizing it's him. You send a message on Facebook. Ahmed, let's meet up at such and such. You go to home base and use your credit card and buy fucking 10 tons of fertilizer. You're no good at it. The Irish, on the other hand, the Irish said, how are we going to get these fucking cunts? Now they know that the English love the pub. In fact, the pub is the center of gravity for every soap opera in Britain. When you go to EastEnders, it's the Queen Vic. Coronation Street, what is it then? The Rovers Return. The Emmerdale Farm, the Emmerdale. The pub is the center of gravity for the Englishmen and the Irish, incidentally. And the Irish start plant bombs in pubs. Fuck you, English. The Irish planted bombs in Hyde Park. The Irish planted bombs in Knightsbridge. Aye, brother. The Irish blew up the fucking BBC. They should have got a fucking medal for it. The Irish planted bombs in East End of London.
MI5 building.
Hold up. The Irish, the IRA killed the Queen's cousin. Mountbatten, Lord Mountbatten, you're cunt. Fucking cunt. Take that. Take that, you cunt. They didn't stop there. The IRA didn't stop there. The IRA blew up a Conservative Party conference in Brighton. The first 9/11. They didn't blow up a room, a pub. They blew up a whole fucking hotel. The entire fucking hotel. You're cunts. Blew up the whole hotel. Every fucker in it. Rat, mouse. They didn't give a fuck. And you're a friend of Jamaicans. No. I said, don't fuck with the Irish. We Jamaicans are mild people. It's the Irish you don't fuck with. Blew up the entire building. Cockroaches, mice. And that's only the politicians I'm talking about. Everyone. You're cunts. They didn't stop there. The IRA They launched a missile, a mortar attack against 10 Downing Street. 10 Downing Street. It killed a fucking number 10 cat in the garden. I was taking a shit. Blew it up. Just a bunch of fucking fur. Humphrey. Murdered Humphrey. Murdered Humphrey. That was the braceness of the IRA. Real terrorism. The IRA didn't stop there. The IRA knew that MI6 and MI5 are after them. So what did the IRA do? The IRA went to the MI6. They took a fucking mortar from Vauxhall and they sent a fucking mortar to the fucking front window of the MI6 building. Blow up the fucking MI6 building. You fucking cunts. Here I fucking am. What are you gonna fucking do, you cunts? And then he went back to building the roads. From a transit van. That is real terrorism. That was the IRA. You Muslims, you're no good at it. But when the IRA were planting bombs, did the British claim or suggest that we are at war with Catholics? Did they ask all Catholics to denounce terrorism? Did they penalise all Irish people? No!
The Troubles.
It was called the Troubles. What a nice way to put it. Oh, we've got some troubles. The reality is, from what I'm saying to you, when the IRA were engaged in terrorism, they did not profile all Irish people. So how is it, now that they claim there's a war on terror, all of you Muslims are now targeted. All of you Muslims are possible extremists. Let me say this. Every human being of conscience should be a prospective extremist. Here we go. What's this all about? Every human being of conscience should be a possible extremist. Why do I say this? I say this because any human being that acknowledges injustice should understand that there is a responsibility.
Baloch want freedom! Baloch want freedom! Baloch want freedom! Down with Pakistan! Down with Pakistan! Down with Pakistan! I know Pakistan flag. It's not Pakistan. No, it's not. Why you say Iran? Pakistan.
You are being lied to. You are being lied to. You are being deceived. You are victims of Western war propaganda. We had the bombings in Boston. People committed a terrorist act at the Boston Marathon. It's an act of terrorism. When I do not support the attacks against innocent civilians, it is maniacal, it is brutal, it is unjust. In fact, any Muslim who perpetrates an act against civilians is perpetrating an act against Islam. But when we have these individuals who commit these crimes, they tell you that, oh, they were a Muslim. This person was Muslim. But never do they tell you why the act was committed. Do they tell you that, in fact, hands up who knows about Boston, the Boston bombing. Have you heard about it? Tell me, madam, why did those two brothers blow up the marathon? What do you mean you don't know? You don't know? You, sir? Why did they do it? I don't know. Don't you think it is important that we should know why? A week before that, 10 Afghans were killed in Afghanistan by an American drone. But my friend, Afghans are not human, so they don't count. Only white people are human. It does make sense. Afghans are not human. Only white people are human. Don't you understand that? Only white people are human. My brother, let me explain. A plane crashes in India. 300 people on board. The media, BBC, CNN, tells you 1 American, 2 French, 1 Englishman. Fuck the 296 Pakistani bastards who are on board. They don't make sense. They're not human. We don't count in terrorism. The reality is, non-white people don't count. If they found your body in a terrorist attack or whatever, they would look at you first and say, "Oh, is he white? Okay, looks a bit dusty. No, he's not white. Let's find another victim." They never, my friend. How many drone attacks have there been in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia? Thousands. Last week, 3 British soldiers were killed in an armored vehicle blown up in the arena of war. It's an occupational hazard for a soldier. They were doing their job and died doing their job. A day later, the Western media, British media, tells you 3 soldiers were killed. Their names were A, B, and C. One was 22 years old, one was 27, one was 25. The one that number A in Parliament they talk about. Number A, he was married with 2 children. Number B, his wife was pregnant, 1 on the way. They humanize the very perpetrators of the violence in the arena of war. They give them names, they give them ages, they give them ranks, they give them occupations, they give them families. Then they'll give an interview with the wife. "Oh, we're never going to see him again. He was such a great husband." Oh, they humanize them. Yet, how many people have died? How many civilians? Thousands of civilians have died in Yemen, Somalia, Pakistan, Afghanistan. 10 died the week before Boston, as you say. 10. Not once do they give you a name. Not once do they give you a picture, a photograph, and say, "This person, Muhammad Aziz or Fatima, whatever, was killed." They never show you one picture of any victim. They never give you a name, an age, an occupation. That media prostitute John Simpson is not on the scene to investigate. There are no BBC journalists, no Sky News, no CNN reporters on the ground showing you from the crash site. But when it comes to Boston, where white people die, all the world's media is there because we must all cry. We must all weep. Because only Westerners can be victims of terrorism. Non-white people can't be victims of terrorism. In fact, the very victims, through Western propaganda, it is then suggested or implied that they were terrorists. Because the Western media, BBC, will never consult the Afghans, never consult the tribal leaders, never consult the families. They will go back to the American military, and you'll have an American military spokesman saying, "Oh yeah, we attacked an Al-Qaeda target and we killed some militants." Nonsense! Insurgents. Look at the buzzwords they use. Al-Qaeda, terrorists, insurgents, Taliban. They have all of these buzzwords. And then when they tell you that one of the victims' names was Muhammad, or where was he, Aziz? What's your name, sir? Sultan. Sultan. Whenever they give you one of these Arabic or Muslim sounding names, you write it off. But if they told you in that attack, John Smith, Peter Joseph, and Sarah Brown were killed in a drone attack, you motherfuckers would drop your spoon, drop your fucking cornflake spoon. You would switch off from fucking watching the last episode of EastEnders. Fuck X Factor, John Smith was killed. It sounds funny, but it's a reality. This is the reality of Western war propaganda. Innocent people are being killed. Innocent people with aspirations just like you and me. For their children to go to school in an environment where there is no war. It's a farce. I have to ask again, tell me, just to refresh my memory, why are American soldiers in Afghanistan? We had a statement from David Cameron when those 3 British soldiers were killed. David Cameron said, we have to remember that we are in Afghanistan to stop Afghanistan from being used as a base to train terrorists who will attack us here in Britain. Can somebody tell me the name of one Afghan terrorist who's attacked Britain? In fact, the reality is, most of those whom have attacked Western targets have ended up either living in Britain or the West for a long time, or were born in the West, who have become radicalized by those policies. Hey, is it so bizarre for you? Let me get racial here. Is it so bizarre for you, white people, to think that people will become radicalized when their homes are being bombed? My parents are from Jamaica. How do you think I would feel if Britain and America bombed Jamaica? What do you think I'm going to do? Roll a spliff and say, wow, wicked man, we're not clock. Things are gone. No! I would be fucking angry. What do you think I'm going to do to soothe myself? Put on a Bob Marley record? No! It is natural. Imagine if you, as Westerns or as English people, live in a foreign country, of which that foreign country is attacking England. Please. I mean, the arrogance of you Westerners. You've reached such a stage of Western imperialism that is short-circuited all logic and common sense. America invades Iraq and says to Iran, stay out of it. It's got nothing to do with you. Imagine! You bunch of arrogant fucking Big Mac munching pork eating motherfuckers. You go to Iran and say, stay out of it, it's got nothing to do with you. It's like Saudi Arabia bombing and invading Canada and saying to America, stay out of it. It's got nothing to do with you. And then they wonder why other Muslims in the region are upset. And then they portray these Muslims protesting as being irrational, just dedicated to Allah. Just the worship of Allah, Allah, Allahu Akbar. You put it down to Muslims being radicalized and praying to Allah. My friends, Muslims are spiritually more in tune with their God than you are with your own. And you too were these radical fundamentalists. The very things you throw stones at Islam for, you have in your own faith. You practiced amongst yourselves. You say, oh, Muslim women, they're oppressed because they have to wear the niqab and the hijab and the burqa. Muslims don't force women to wear the burqa. In certain cultures, like Saudi Arabia, they have their laws. That is cultural. That's not Islam. That is the cultural practice of the region in some instances. However, you say, oh, Muslim women are oppressed because they have to cover themselves and cover their heads, and they're not allowed to express themselves and express their bodies. Therefore, they are oppressed. Let's analyze that for one moment.
God, are you ready to come up again?
Madame, do you have the free will to dress? Oh, and sorry, so is this your girlfriend? You're working on it. Let me try and help. Madame, very attractive, might I add. You're a very lucky man, sir. Madame, did you choose to dress the way you wanted to this morning? So you have choice. So you decided you're going to wear that dress up to there. Put on makeup, lipstick, all right, makeup. Madame, did you decide to wear what you're going to wear today? Your choice. Madame, did you decide? Choice. There's nothing determining that, just your own choice. I argue that you in the West, Western women, do not have choice. That you are just as oppressed as most women are in patriarchal societies, which determine how women should express themselves. I'm saying that there are certain paradigms within culture that you determine, this makes me look attractive. So you're wearing lipstick and eyeliner, and your eyebrows are plucked. You're wearing a skirt. Maybe. I'm simply saying that there are restrictions upon you too. In fact, I find Western culture towards women very oppressive. And I believe Muslims should actually come here and launch a campaign to save you. And I believe you'd make a very good poster child as to whom we can save and why we're doing what we did. Because you have Western women who, in order to be attractive, wear high heels that they can hardly walk in, that gives them pains that they have to put plasters on the back, plasters on the front of their toes, and they walk down the streets.
The difference is we have a choice.
Hold on, she says the difference is you have a choice. Madame, I'm saying you don't have a choice. I'm saying that you are conforming to the social norms of the society. Let me explain. Let me explain.
I've got flat boots on.
No problem. You've got flat boots on. You must be a feminist. Now, madame. Oh no, madame. I'm saying to you the pressures of society. If a woman steps out of her house without makeup on, can you imagine the challenges of that? Madame, if she steps out of her house without makeup, she might not find that lifetime mate. In fact, you Western women nowadays, you're so oppressed that you have to shave your pussy hairs. A woman who goes into bed with her hairs out the door natural is seen as a freak, as a beast. Madame, do you shave down below? What's personal about it? You say we have freedom to speak about what we like?
No.
What's wrong now? Are you oppressed?
No.
You don't like to talk about it?
You say freedom to speak, but you do because that's why you're stood there. But I have a freedom of choice.
Of course. But why are you getting upset?
Because
I've just asked you if you shave your pussy.
prepared to ask you.
Of course, it's your right.
Because I have
It's
that
your
right.
right. Of course it is, madame. So, madame, when you talk about rights and choices, how is it that Muslim women who want to worship and praise their own faith don't have that choice? Why do you assume they don't have choice? Madame, because I'm saying to you, the same social pressures that are on you Western women to conform and dress the way you do is the same social pressures that are upon Muslim women. Now you say you have the choice. Madame, do you have the choice to wear what you want to? Absolutely. Madame, no, you do not have that choice. Those choices are restricted by cultural values. Madame, if I were to take off my top and to show you my nipples, don't get excited. If I were to do that, I am within the realms of the law. However, if you start doing that, you may be arrested for indecent exposure. Madame, if I take off my trousers and show you my 15-inch penis, not only will you white men feel inadequate, however, I too might be arrested. If you go naked down the street, madame, even in a G-string, all you're wearing, you stand the chance of being arrested. Why? Because there are limitations within your society as to the cultural level with it you go and you don't go. So when you say to me, I have choice, we have choice. You Western women love to talk about choices, but the reality is, within every culture, there are limitations and standards, and all we have are different levels of cultural acceptance as to what is culturally and not culturally acceptable. That's all it is.
Botox, liberation.
What do you have to say about that, madam? Or do you believe you have the right to walk naked?
No, because that might offend you.
Because that, no, it doesn't offend me. Madam, I believe all, madam, it does not offend me at all. Madam, let me show you what offends me. What offends me is cultural imperialism. That's what offends me. Because when you white people, Europeans, arrived in Africa, we Africans, many of us in many of our parts, were walking around naked.
That's right.
Bone naked, with our 15-inch genetic penises dangling in the wind. Dangling in the wind. When a fly, madame, when a fly would fly over there, I would take my penis and swat it. That's how we were in Africa. When you arrived,
you're lying.
I'm not lying, ask your girlfriend. Now, when we were in Africa, you Europeans arrived in Africa and you said, oh, tut, you're wearing too little. It's against God's will. Put on some clothes. So you enslaved us, bring us to Europe, and now we dress like you. After you left Africa, you went to the Middle East, where you saw the Arabs, the Muslims, and you saw the Arabs covered up. You said, oh, tut, you're wearing too much. Take some off. It's cultural imperialism, madame. And all I'm saying is, we have to be tolerant of other peoples and their cultures. Now, I believe that women are oppressed within Islam. I believe that. But I believe that women are oppressed within every religion. Wherever men dominate, wherever there's a patriarchal system, they will filter that down to everyone else.
Ishmahil, there's a difference between what we call a culture.
There's a difference between a culture
and Islam.
and Islam.
Are you sure that Islam represents women?
Sir, Islam, you can say that within Islam.
saying that Muslims, yes, I
sir,
agree.
you have religious culture also.
Yeah, culture, yes.
Religious
I
culture
agree.
also. When you go to the
Culture,
church,
yes.
when you
Islam,
go to the church,
you have
when
to
you
do-
go to the church, my mother's a Christian. Poor thing. My mother goes to church every Sunday, and there's a dress code. It's like they're fashionable in terms of what they would wear at church. Sister Jones is wearing, Sister Jones' skirt, and they would talk amongst themselves. So there are cultures within that. I'm saying, madam, that we look at Islam, we look at women, Muslim women who cover themselves up. We do not give any credibility to the fact that they may very well be worshipping and following their faiths. Instead we just say, oh, they're all oppressed. But why do Muslim women cover up? Muslim women cover up because they believe that in their faith, they should not expose their bodies so as to tempt men.
And it's not being
so they
imposed by
cover
men.
their bodies. They cover their bodies because they believe in their books that they should not expose their bodies to tempt men.
And it's not.
Why is it that Orthodox Jewish women cover themselves from head to toe? Because in the Torah it says they must not reveal their figures so as to tempt men. Christian women, why do they cover up? Why do nuns? When we look at a nun, and a nun looks uncannily like a Muslim woman, don't she? Yes. A nun looks so uncannily like a Muslim woman. Why do nuns cover up? Because they say that they should not, according to their piety to their God and their belief, they should not reveal their figures so as to tempt men. But never do you oppress the Catholic nuns. No, you walk past there, you say, hello sister. And then you walk past to a Muslim and think, oh, look at the tall with her husband, the bastard's oppressing her. Hold up. Let's go even deeper. Let's go even deeper. Whenever you look at the pictures, the portraits of the Final Supper or a religious rendition, and they show Mary, they have never once shown Mary with her hair uncovered. Never once. Mary wears a hijab. Mary is covered from head to toe. All of the figures in your religious depictions are dressed like Muslim women. That's your faith. However, something gets short-circuited because it's only over the last 50 or 60 years.
No, since the First World War, the church is emptied and they never filled up again. That's a fact.
They're emptying, of course.
And it was the First World War that did
The
that.
reality is culture. Madam, it's not an attack against you, because I believe that we should all express ourselves and openly have these discussions. We need to have more of these types of discussions where we can express ourselves, our point of view. I hear your point of view, I respect your point of view, but madam, I don't agree that you have that social and cultural liberty and mobility that you claim. You believe you have it, but you don't realize why. Madam, let's say that I'm a woman executive, I work in the city. Do you believe that if I worked in the city, that I could just turn up without makeup and get
Turn that
promoted?
shit up, man. You're not allowed. You're not allowed in the biggest corner.
If I were a woman as an executive working in the city, I will tell you that if I turned up without makeup, I would probably be overlooked for promotion. Madam, I will tell you, when you go to the City of London and you see everyone wearing suits, suits are a uniform. It's a gang code. They're like the bloody Crips and the Bloods. They might as well be giving gang signals. Because the suit is a language and it is a code. Now, if I turn up for work outside of my gang colours, I face the chance of being persecuted. I face the chance of being sacked for various reasons, because there are certain codes that you follow. This is cultural, but you don't see your own culture in that way, because we live in a world which practices cultural imperialism, where you want everyone to be the same. Madam, when black people came to Britain, when Asians came to Britain, you would have one man named Ramesh Bakaria, an African named Abuku or Kwame. And when he went to work, the English workers were like, what's your name? Abu what? We will call you Fred. Indian brother, Ramesh Bakaria.
Is it good to spell?
Vaki. What's that? we will call you Sid.
Just couldn't spell it.
So we have people adopting your culture. Madam, when you go to an Arab country, or if you're English people, and there are many expats from England living in the Arab world, when you go to the Arab world and your name is Sarah, they don't say sa 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 sa. No, we will call you Fatima. When you arrive in Africa, we don't say, what's this? Peter? No, we will call you Abuku. No! You want everyone to conform. America is the most conformist country on earth. That was part of what gives America its strength. It's nationalism, its sense of national identity. But in order to cement that national identity, it needs a homogeneous type. Everyone in one mold. That's why in England, that's why I love England. And let me say this about England. England for immigrants is one of the best countries in Europe.
Hey, yeah, what she said? What she said? Fuck off home. That's what that comes out of them.
She said,
you know
fuck
why?
off home.
Because she thinks that she's more intelligent than you. That's what the problem is. She comes with the attitude because your skin is black.
My brother,
no, hold on a minute. Because your skin is black, the white skin is more intelligent, more superior. So what she decides is you moved her wrong. Hold on, you made her look stupid. So she said, fuck off to your own country. That's what they do. My brother.
Calm down.
Calm down.
I'm calm, man. What do you mean? I'm just talking loud.
Of course, my brother, I understand it. But I am here as an immigrant, as a guest. And I'm here for 400 years. The white man went to Africa and spent 400 years. I'm just over 40 years old. I have just over 360 years, just under 360 years left, me and my children. And then we will fuck off home. But when we look at England, my brother, don't get upset.
I don't get upset, man. I'm bigger than that.
All we have to do is control our resources.
I was just talking loud so people
Of
can
course.
hear me. Just so people
In
can hear me.
Africa and Asia, we have gold, diamonds, uranium, titanium, cobalt, oil, copper, iron, lead, silver, rice, coffee, cocoa, tea. In England, they mass produce fish and chips and Kellogg's cornflakes. They need us here. If it's all right for my coffee, my cocoa, my tea, and you know the English could not survive without a nice cup of tea. If it's all right for my resources to be here, it's all right for me to be here. And my friend, I don't pay people's remarks like that much because I recognize.
No,
in England,
I just wanted.
I know.
What I'm saying is, if there's anybody here from different races, we're all equal. We all have intelligence. We all have a brain in our head, so we can all understand everything. So this woman, she didn't like the fact that he managed to show intelligence. So she just said, "Fuck off, go home," because she didn't like it.
Brother, let me go even further.
Yes.
We have to be able to moderate
Say it.
ourselves to understand what is. My friend, do you have a cigarette?
No,
Who's smoking? Who's got a cigarette? Who's smoking?
Which one do you want?
Thank you very much. My brother, we have to understand this. People come from different perspectives. The woman isn't my enemy. She's just ignorant. It's not her fault. She comes from a certain background, certain beliefs, and we must understand those beliefs. Imagine, listen, hold up, brother. Furthermore, let me go one step even further. If I were white, hold on, let me light up this spliff. If I were white and working class and living on a poor housing estate
In Lambeth.
in Peckham, wherever, I too might think, fucking hell, there are a lot of black people here, they ought to go back home. We have to understand where she comes from. I remember when Nick Griffin from the BNP, he was on Question Time, and all of the hypocrites slandered him. But you have to recognize that Nick Griffin got 1 million votes. There are 60 million people in Britain. That means he represented 1/60th, which is a sizable proportion of British mentality.
Of course.
Now, many British people voted for Nick Griffin, not because of his intellectual prowess, but because he represented some of their views that were not being represented by the mainstream parties. And that's the hypocrisy of the mainstream parties. The mainstream parties are terrified to have that debate. They stifle the debate. So Nick Griffin, hold on, sir. So Nick Griffin represented a portion of the population. I was disgusted when he turned up on Question Time. And we had Jack Straw, the hypocrite, Jermaine Greer. I mean, they don't even see their own racism. They bring an American on to talk about black politics. I mean, imagine, they have Jack Straw, a man who represented the Labour Party, which went to war in Iraq, butchering thousands of Iraqis, which at every election starts talking about there are too many immigrants in Britain. They are more racist than Nick Griffin. The Conservative Party, they're more racist than Nick Griffin. Do you remember a few years back, I'm sorry to jump all over the place, but just imagine that you're watching a Quentin Tarantino movie. Do you remember a few years back? A few years back, 20 Chinese cockle pickers died at Morecambe Bay. They drowned. A disgusting, whereby we see that British companies will exploit loopholes, will exploit immigrant labour to get the cheapest to manufacture, to get their products to market. It's not their fault, it's the nature of capitalism. However, 20 illegal Chinese cockle pickers died at Morecambe Bay. They should imagine if 20 white people had died in such an accident. And all over the news, would have had 3 minutes silence. The BBC and all the world's media would have been focused on the funerals. Would have had a statement from the Queen. Instead, what did we get? We got a joke from a Conservative Party MP, a woman. And she cracks this joke. Imagine. She said about the deaths of the 20 Chinese cockle pickers in Morecambe Bay. This is a politician, a member of parliament. Here's the joke. She said, 2 sharks are in the middle of the Atlantic. One shark says to the other, I'm tired of eating tuna, let's go to Morecambe Bay for some Chinese. Shocking. Was she fired? No. It's disgraceful. So we see the level of racism within the parties. Come election time, every party is talking about immigration. All of them. Yet when Nick Griffin was on TV, they harangued Nick Griffin as though he's the only one. And I say this, and I say it loudly. If I were white, living on a poor housing estate somewhere across Britain, and I saw a wave of immigrants, black and Asian, coming in and taking over the houses in the estate. As a working class white person, I'd be thinking, cool fucking hell, they're talking about housing crisis. Where are my children gonna live? They're talking about employment problems. Where are my children gonna work? It's natural. So I'm saying those arguments are not always fundamentally racist. And so when someone suggests this, they should not always be labeled a racist. But they become radicalized. The political system in Britain radicalizes them when there is no outlet for them to express that anger and frustration, so they gravitate towards more far-right parties without a political or intellectual raison d'etre. Because anyone could have challenged Nick Griffin on Question Time. All they had to do was not try and harangue him and to get cheap kicks from some jokes against him. All they had to ask Nick Griffin is, what are your policies? How will you get Britain out of the economic crisis that it's in? All you had to do was ask basic questions. And that would have been enough to alienate the electorate. But instead, I left that feeling sympathy and empathy for Nick Griffin. And, might I add, for those million English people who have voted for him because they want their issues addressed. When we look at Islam and radical Islam as to what radicalizes young Muslims, if the British media was balanced in its portrayal of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and what's going on in Pakistan and across the Muslim world,